texting and talking behind the wheel. It's the new drunk driving. Even though it's a deadly hazard on our roads, many drivers are still keeping one hand on the wheel and the other one on their cell phones. 16 by 9 decided to put drivers to the test to find out just how dangerous it is when good drivers follow bad habits. Francis Silvaggio has more.
Hi, Dave. It's not even funny.
They are shockingly violent scenes replayed all over the world, distracted drivers causing mayhem on the roads.
That day will never be erased. I don't go back to it all the time, but as you can tell when I do, it still affects me, and it's almost 4 years later.
That day Tammy Henkel can never forget is the day her mother was struck and killed on an Edmonton street.
At the last second, the bus driver obviously saw my mom because she braked hard. And there's also evidence that my mom also at the last minute saw, or last second, and basically had enough time to put her hands up.
It was never proven, but Tammy says there's good reason to believe the bus driver was talking on a cell phone in that moment when her mom's life ended.
We still can't quite figure out why the driver didn't see her in a crosswalk, but we believe the witness was fair in their statement of, oh my God, she's on a cell phone.
The bus driver was found guilty of careless driving and failing to yield to a pedestrian. Basically, she got a slap on the wrist.
So she lost her license for 3 months?
Yes.
And $2 grand?
Yes.
And you lost?
My mom, my best friend. My dad lost his wife of, would have been 50 years.
Canada has started cracking down on distracted driving with bans on handheld devices everywhere but the Northwest Territories and Nunavut. The legislation is still relatively new, but thousands of tickets have already been handed out. Distractions kill at least 15 Americans a day, prompting ads like this one from Britain. But the message isn't getting through. 16 by 9 did a road test, and it took us less than an hour and 10 kilometers of Canada's busiest highway in Toronto to see this. People texting, talking, grooming, doing everything, in fact, but paying attention.
Okay, I wouldn't want to look down now. Pedestrians sometimes run out between cars.
Alison Smiley is an expert on driver distractions. She says 1 in every 4 crashes can be blamed on distractions.
And it's like drunk driving. I mean, people got away with that for a long time, and then we gradually realized, hey, it's a big part of the crash problem, and it's not acceptable.
Smiley says distractions are just as dangerous as drinking and driving, but people just don't get that, in part because they have a warped sense of their driving skills.
75% of drivers feel that they are better than average. And of course, only 50% of drivers can be better than average statistically.
So 16 by 9 decided to do a second test, putting 3 regular people into this simulator to see what happens when they're forced to multitask while driving. They were pretty confident at first.
I think that I can multitask and drive.
I think I'm better than the average driver.
I'm a good driver.
They all did okay when they were concentrating on the road, but throw some distractions into the mix.
Okay, can you read what the message says?
And these good drivers start hitting everything in sight.
Darn.
I found out for myself that when it comes to talking and driving, my 27 years experience behind the wheel are useless.
You want out, don't you?
Oh, never in my life will anyone ever have me on the phone when I'm in a vehicle.
But what about a driver trained for the track? Meet Ken Wilden, a champion in the high-octane world of pro car racing. He makes split-second decisions at speeds of 300 kilometers per hour.
They go all the way to victory lane.
If anyone could handle a few distractions, it's this guy.
I need you to grab your BlackBerry.
But even for a pro, texting and driving proves to be a dangerous combination.
Oh, there we go. That was bad driving. I mean, that was horrible. And this is on a simulator, and I feel embarrassed. So on the road, you know, it's a much different level, right, where people actually get injured. And you'll have to live with that for the rest of your life.
Driver after driver, the results are the same. Every single person failed 16 by 9 safety test.
Whoops. Oh my goodness.
It's easy to laugh off the simulated devastation, and here, nobody gets hurt. But in the real world,
one incident and our whole life has changed. You know, like we lost a beautiful son.
This is the very spot where Robert Maitland's son, Brandon, was killed last summer, near his house in Springbank, Alberta. It's a memory this grieving father can't escape.
Does it bother you, obviously, you drive past this every single day?
Every day. It's the only way I get home. And I drive by here every day. So, oh yeah, it's not easy.
The 17-year-old was driving his friends home on the morning of July 18th, 2010. He took his eyes off the road for one fateful moment.
So what happened here is he got one wheel off the road when he got distracted changing iPods in the car. In the summer I could see skid marks, gets to about here, like that, and then it flips.
It flips.
And
where does it end up?
On that telephone post.
And when it hits that telephone post, what happens to Brandon?
He gets ejected and he's killed instantly.
Robert and his wife were thousands of kilometers away that morning in the middle of a busy airport when they got the news their son was dead.
That's not an easy thing to go through. We're standing in the New York airport, hugging each other, and then you got to have a 5-hour flight while you're sitting there and just kind of numb and like that. And you get home. I'll remember that all my life. It was a couple of seconds of distraction and like that, and it changed our life forever.
And in an instant, a life full of promise was gone.
And he had, a bunch of friends, and he was having a good time. He was really enjoying life. And I was thinking, oh, he would have been playing junior C hockey this year. He loved to play hockey. I was hoping to have grandchildren, and he was going to get married and have his own family, and I was going to see him grow, etc. And none of that's ever going to happen.
And Tammy hopes people will get the message that this is the best place for the phone while you're driving. It's a simple precaution that would have saved her mother's life.
I want to save people from themselves. Those split seconds can be the difference between life and death.